I think we would have lost our wings there. That's absolutely incredible. You can now play Microsoft Flight Simulator X with the Oculus Rift DK2 thanks to FlyInside Flight Sim X, which yesterday released a free public alpha build that lets you basically play all the missions and fly all the planes in free flight mode with the Oculus Rift DK2. So obviously I had to load it up and give it a bit of a bash, and I have to say it's really, really impressive. I'm not quite sure how the developers done it. It's as if they're running a separate app that wraps the flight simulator in some way that then allows you to have flawless head tracking and very fast frame rate, even if the underlying simulator seems to stutter. So as you can see, I've got bags of terrain, thousands of buildings being rendered, draw distance really fine, I've got the texture and everything set on really high, yet it's actually running with no stutter and no issues when I look around. Now in the alpha version of FlyInside Flight Sim X, it doesn't support stuff that they're obviously going to put into the final builds in the paid for version, and one of the big features will be stuff that really appeals to this sort of hardcore flight simulator, such as having in-game apps, or sort of, you know, your flight simulator apps, navigation, all that kind of thing on separate windows that you can then position on your screen. At the moment, the only app that you can see displayed is the Inside Flight Sim X configurator panel, which you can move around and get an idea of how the other windows and stuff will work. Whee! But if you're more of a sort of a casual player of Flight Simulator, the open alpha version of it is pretty much perfectly fine. If you're a hardcore Flight Simulator, then you're going to want to invest or buy into the Kickstarter that they've just started for the complete version. But for me and for most people that sort of have a passing interest in flight sims, just like the physics, flying around and messing about, this initial alpha is absolutely fantastic. Let's just fly through here. Now all you need to do to get it working is have Flight Sim X, which you can get on Steam. Typically it goes on sale for £2 to £5. I think even at full retail it's under 15 quid. You go to the FlyInside website, install it and launch the game with your Oculus Rift DK2 set to direct mode, and away you go. It just loads in and just works. In terms of issues and problems, right now you have to run it with the Oculus Rift build 6.0 rather than the 6.0.01, so the one previous version of the SDK or build version of, well, the Windows runtime of Oculus. And the only other issue I've had is that the 3D separation seems a little bit off to me, so the sense of presence isn't quite as strong as it is in games like Live for Speed or DCS. For me, now I did fiddle with the IPD settings in the Oculus to try and fake out the 3D separation, as that was a fix with War Thunder in the past, but that didn't seem to really help anything. You can change the world scale with the FlyInside app. So you've got a whole bunch of settings you can change here, world scale. But to be honest, the default world scale seems right to me. It's just that the 3D separation is wrong. So if I increase the world scale, what happens is that you won't be able to see this in the video because, of course, you're watching a 2D screen. But if I increase the world scale, all that it feels like is I'm flying a very small or a very large plane that's exactly the same, but the depth doesn't seem to change with that. So the sort of three-dimensionality of things just still feels off. For example, at the moment, my feet, or where my feet would be far too close, and the joystick, or probably said the wrong word there, but the virtual joystick or the control stick of the aircraft visually looks way too close to the dash. So hopefully that's something that will be fixed for the alpha version, because other than that, this is possibly the best implementation of VR in a flying game. And of course, Flight Sim X has a ridiculous number of features, ridiculous number of planes, and the entire world. Let's try and fly this Red Bull Air course. I mean, it has to be said, despite the resolution not being ideal on the DK2 and stuff in the distance being out of focus, you can actually move in to look at dials. And so if you're flying a more civilian plane at a more leisurely pace, you can just move your head in to look at the dials. So that's not that much of a problem anymore. But the simple fact is, if you're playing a flying game, just being able to move your head around, and because of the way you fly planes, is absolutely crucial. Whoa.
Make a slight right for gate 4.
Oh, slight right, I've gone too right. It's absolutely crucial to be able to move around and just look at things. And the 3D as well.
Straight ahead for gate 5, followed by a vertical 360-degree roll.
The 3D
Vertical, then perform a
also
360-degree barrel roll.
makes it a lot easier to position yourself and land and be aware of where you are in the 3D world. Unfortunately, as I say, the 3D separation is slightly off, so it does feel a little bit wonky at this point in time. There's a hole in the floor. But when I was let's go to another plane actually. When you fly other vehicles in this, or other aircraft in this, like the light, like the micro lights, you really can sort of position them a lot better. Let's go to I'm just going to do free flight, and we're going to go for we've got ultralight here. I call them micro lights, but I guess they're called ultralights. As you can tell, I'm not an expert on flight simulators. I am very much a sort of casual player of flying games, but I am using the X55 Rhino Hotas controller, which is really nice. I took the spring out of it because I find it's more precise. I tend to use this more with games like Elite Dangerous than I do flight simulators. And I've played a fair bit of X-Plane 10 with it as well. I just find the dynamics of the planes. Let's just pause and get back in. The dynamics of the planes in X-Plane 10 are far more satisfying for the type of flying I like doing. I just like playing with the physics and messing around rather than the procedural aspects of flight. Now, and that's, I think, the main difference between Flight Sim X and well, with the default content over X-Plane 10, is that in Flight Sim X the general nature of the flight seems far more fluid and agile, whereas in Flight Sim X it has far more simulation of all the little details, all the aircraft features and functions. So I think, you know, for people that want to replicate a real-world flight and all the procedure that's involved in that, then Flight Sim X is probably better than X-Plane 10. They're saying that, as I say, you know, you've got good content in either game, and that's a discussion for another video for people that are really serious about flight sims. But as a filthy casual, this Oculus Rift add-on absolutely transforms Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let's just land on the runway. Probably coming in way too fast. That's another thing. I think when you play on a screen, it's really lots of it's really counterintuitive in terms of positioning your aircraft and getting a feel for where you are and what speed you're travelling at. But as soon as you put the Oculus Rift on, you really can just place things and get a far better idea of where you are. I'm not sure why it's jumping to outside view though. I'll just go back to the cockpit. Put the brakes on. Some clipping issues, but again, this is because it's alpha, so they're still working on these things. Full power. It's so good being able to look around them. It really does. Whoa, we've got so much lift on this aircraft. This just took off like a Harrier jump jet then. It's the rear passenger seat. As you can see as well, the water's not rendering, so that's another thing that, I mean, as I say, it is alpha, and the developers have said there's a lot of things that they want to really polish up on. But, you know, for a free plugin at this point in time, it's absolutely incredible. Let's try and land on this little road over there. But I think what really genuinely surprised me is just how well it runs. Just the way they've wrapped the Flight Sim X gameplay, or I don't know how they've wrapped it up. So, as I say, I think their app's a separate app, but I don't know how they've done it. But the way they've done it is basically allowed for absolutely seamless head tracking, so you don't really get any motion sickness, and you don't get any problems when Flight Sim X happens to do its performance issues. Let's go in there. Let's land here. Here we go. But you can really lean out and get a real good idea of your position. I'm coming in. I'm going to stall here. There we go. Oh. Because you have some planes in flight sims where you can't land them that well on a monitor because you can't see anything. All those little bits of dirt coming off the wheel there. And so you really do need that freedom. And unless you've got something like Track IR, which I've used free track in the past, and that is awesome, and I can, that's pretty much the only option people have had for flight simulators, free track and Track IR. But it doesn't quite feel natural, whereas this just feels completely natural. It's immediately intuitive, and I would have thought for vehicle familiarization, for those people that are sort of looking to get into flying and just want to get comfortable with the basic operations of an aircraft before doing the real thing, I think this really does add to the simulator, and all available in your home and running on a moderately powerful PC. I mean, as I say, I'm running an i5-2500K with a GTX 970, and I remember back in the day when you wanted to play Flight Sim, the older versions of Microsoft Flight Simulator, the people would spend £3,000, £4,000, even more on the PC, whereas now you can access a full 3D simulated flight simulator with virtual reality, have it all running smooth on a system that you can buy for £800. Whoa! Flying like a lunatic here. Let's land this one more time, then I'm going to go to another plane. I'm going to go to a passenger jet and take a look inside that. I can imagine all the people that flying nuts and flight sim nuts are going to be face palming at this video. I can understand the frustration. It's like, if you play a lot of driving simulators, you see someone driving from third-person view, hammering at the steering wheel, not being delicate, and doing everything wrong. I apologise in advance, but as I say, I am a filthy casual when it comes to flight simulators. Let's go and end this flight. And as you'll see, I've been quitting out and just launching again. I've got OBS is just doing window capture because the way this game runs in this wrapper, which I don't understand, as I say, I have to do Windows capture, but you've got a window on the screen, so when you go in and out of planes, you can just select it on your monitor, choose what you want, and then just launch, put the DK2 back in your head when you launch into the game, or launch into the actual flying part of the game. Let's go for a passenger plane, an Airbus A321. So it just works really seamless. 2x4 ranch. Let's go here, fly now. I've just picked a random place. So you do get, as it's running in direct mode, you do get a preview of the game on your screen, on your other monitor. It's just loading into the scenery. And there we are. Okay, we're taking off a Airbus on what appears to be a field. Probably not ideal, but we'll make do. Got all the radio chat going on. So it's just fantastic. This cockpit in 3D, being able to look around it and see it all. You really can. Again, it's just like the driving simulators where you can appreciate all the cockpit details. But the fantastic thing with flight simulators is that typically most of the buttons and dials actually work and do stuff. Obviously, it depends on the plane. Normally, the default planes in flight simulators don't have as much detail as the standalone planes, but obviously the standalone planes often cost as much as Flight Simulator itself. Okay, we're just going to go for a takeoff, and I assume that the brakes are off and everything. We'll use the rudders, so then moving. I don't think you're supposed to take this plane off on a little grass runway. Quite nice and scenic though. I feel like I'm in sort of South Africa or something. Oh dear. I'm not sure we're going to make it before those trees. I'm pulling back. We haven't got enough speed. Oh! I think we would have lost our wings there. That's absolutely incredible. And you can sort of peer over the nose of the plane, as you know, as you probably would in a real plane. And oh, that really is striking. Actually, it's a lot. I was expecting this to be less spectacular than the smaller plane, but actually, the larger cabin envelops you more. It looks really, really convincing. Of course, I've never been in the front of a passenger jet, but oh, that looks really good. Oh, I think I'm probably stalling or something. Probably breaking the rules here. Is there a light that's flashing that I can click on? All the people that play flight simulators... Oh, it's probably because my gears are up, maybe. Gears are down. I don't know. All those people that play flight simulators are like, oh, it's obvious what you're doing wrong. And I'm just like a lunatic that's just got in a plane. Let's just click buttons until the clicking stops. We're looking for what is causing the clicking. Not entirely obvious what causes a clicking sound. Nothing's lit up. The transponders, all the radio controls. Oh, this is so cool when you... Oh, look at those clouds. There's too much to take in. I was just saying, it's so cool that you've got these... All the buttons actually above you. Actually feels like they're there above you. And then you look out the window and you see all the clouds. This is fantastic. I'm probably going to crash in a minute from something. These are the lights. Strobe light. You can move the mouse with the head tracking. And the mouse actually is, sort of locks itself to whatever the object, the plane of the 3D object that's in front of it. Oh, the clicking's gone. For whatever reason, the clicking has stopped. We've clearly resolved that problem. Welcome aboard this flight. We're going to be flying from here to there. It's a lovely clear day outside. There's currently an expert pilot at the controls, so don't worry, everything's under control, and enjoy your flight. Thank you. The hostesses will be soon to bring around beverages. So let's do a gentle turn. This is absolutely stunning. If you're going to give this a go, which you really should do if you've got DK2, just buy Flight Sim now and try out this passenger jet, because this is really good. Maybe we gained altitude too fast. I don't know what we did wrong. It doesn't matter. It's not real life. Of course, this will look even better with the sort of photo map terrain. At the moment, I'm in a location where they're obviously repeating generic fields. It sort of looks like someone's repeated a 2-mile square chunk of English farmland and then placed cities over the top of it. But there is obviously, for Flight Sim X, one of the really nice things is there's massive amounts of packs with photoreal textures and all that business, weather packs, an infinite number of add-ons. I'll put a link after this video to some YouTube channels of people actually that do a lot of flight sim games and know what they're talking about. I don't know anything about flight simulators other than let's get in a plane and do some flying. So not an expert in the genre, to put it mildly. But I think that pretty much covers the basics of FlyInside Flight Sim X. I put a link to the download of FlyInside Flight Sim X. Oh, we've got the clicks again. Let's pause it. Turn the clicks off. You can actually look around whilst it's paused. Remarkable how smooth it's running with FlyInside Flight Sim X. But I put a link to FlyInside Flight Sim X. Certainly a very worthwhile experience with your DK2, even if you're not into planes particularly, and you just wanted to try something new out. Completely free, and as I say, works with most of the missions that I've tried, and also all this sort of free fly mode with all the planes just works straight away. So fantastic, adds fantastic value to Flight Simulator. But thanks for watching this episode of VRBUMP, and don't forget to click the subscribe button if you enjoyed it, like if you like it as well, dislike if you dislike it, and leave a comment letting us know why you dislike or like it. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.